Hello, this is Mr. Flores, and I'm doing this lesson about poetry over video because you were either absent when this lesson was introduced or you need some extra help with reading and understanding poetry. This is the first time I'm trying this lesson over video, and I'm really excited, and I hope you enjoy it. So why don't we go ahead and get started? So we have two objectives today. The first is I will closely read and annotate a poem to understand its meaning. The second objective is I will summarize the meaning of the poem in writing. So with this first objective, we are going to do some reading, but we're not going to read the poem just once. We're going to read it multiple times. And we read a poem more than once because it helps us get a better understanding of the meaning each time we read. We're also going to do some writing. This word here, annotate, that's just a way of writing, and we usually do that by writing down notes on the text itself, and I'll show you how that looks like later. We're also going to summarize the meaning of the poem in writing as well. So before we move on, you need to make sure that you have the following materials ready. You're going to need a pencil, and you're going to need your writing journal or your notebook or whatever you write down for writing. You're going to need these throughout the lesson. So go ahead, you're going to pause the video, you're going to get these materials, and when you're ready to continue, you can go ahead and press play. So go ahead and pause the video now. Okay, so what you see now on your screen are two things. On the left is a passage, and on the right is a little YouTube clip. The first thing I want you to do is read this passage on the left. Really just skim it. Don't worry about reading every single word. Just try to get an idea of what it's about. What you're going to do is you're going to pause the video so you can take your time in skimming it. Okay? So go ahead and pause. All right. Now I'm going to play the clip on the left. It's a song, and you actually might recognize this song. So for now, all you have to do is just sit back and enjoy the music. Ready? Here we go.
This is that high school, Michelle Pfeiffer and white gold. This one for them good girls, straight masterpieces. Styling, wildin', living it up in the city. Got Chuck's on with Sailor Ron, gotta kiss myself, so pretty. I'm too hot, I get. Call the police and I'm fighting, man. Too hot, I get. Make a dragon wanna retire, man. Too hot, I get. Say my name, you know who I am. I'm too hot, I get. And I'm paying about that money. Break it down. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you. Hallelujah, girls hit you, hallelujah. Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you. Saturday night we in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch. Come on.
All right. I'm not going to play the whole video. It's kind of long, but feel free when this lesson is over to go back and play the video for fun. So what I want you to do now is I want you to stop and jot, and I want you to think about what differences did you notice about the passage on the left and the song that I just played. You can mention how the two, just what they look like, what the text looked like, how it sounded when you read each one and heard it, and so on. So why don't you go ahead and pause the video and jot down your thoughts in your writing journal. Ready? Pause. Okay, good. Now I want to show you what I came up with. So here's what I came up with when I read both passages and heard the song, or read the passage and heard the song. With the Amazing Woodpecker passage, I noticed that it was nonfiction. The author used complete sentences. He wrote in paragraphs, and it kind of looks like a short essay. with this Uptown Funk song, some things that I noticed were that the musician used rhyme when telling the story. The text was divided by lines. There were no paragraphs, unlike the passage on the left. There were also incomplete sentences and short phrases. That's kind of how the artist there spoke. So those were the big differences for me. How about you guys? Did you come up with the same things or different things? I'll go ahead and take a look at this later on. So I'm looking forward to see what you guys jotted down in your journal. So this song is very much the song that we just listened to is going to be our kind of our focus because it's very much like poetry because of its use of rhyme and how it's structured differently than um, other writing like nonfiction passages or novels. And in that way, poetry can be really fun and exciting to read. But it'll also be challenging because poets like to use tricky words to hide his or her meaning. But don't worry about that. I'm going to help you along with understanding that meaning. So speaking of tricky words, there's some vocabulary that you're going to need to know to help you become more successful in understanding poetry. Um, these words that you need to know are there on the left. The words are poem, stanza, line, and rhyme. And on the right, you're going to see some definitions. However, these definitions don't exactly match up with the words on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and read the definitions on the right. We have words with similar ending sounds, as in bike, like, a kind of text that express an emotion or idea, and sometimes with rhyme. We have a group of lines that divides a poem or song into parts, and we have a row of words in a poem. So what you're going to do is, like I said, the definitions on the right do not match with the words on the left. You need to match the vocabulary terms with its definition. So when you're ready, pause the video again, and you're going to just match the definition and word in your journal. All you need to do is just match the number with the corresponding letter. Okay? Go ahead and pause now. All right. Let me go ahead and show you the answers. So how'd you guys do? If you got them all, good job. If not, that's okay. When this lesson is over, you can go back and check your answers. All right. Now, why don't we go ahead and get started with some poetry? So what we have here is a poem called I Am Latino Proud by Janie Garcia. Just by reading the title, like we do with all of our other texts, nonfiction and fiction, what do you think this poem is going to be about? You can go ahead and pause the video again and just think in your head, what, or make a prediction, what will this poem be about? Go ahead and pause. Good. Remember, our first objective is to closely read and annotate this poem. That means we're going to read this more than once and write down some notes. I'm going to read this poem aloud one time, but when I read, I'm going to just read it for flow. That means I'm just going to get a feel for how the poet writes. Also, I'm not worried about saying every word correctly. If I mess up, that's okay. I'll just sound it out as best as I can, and I'm just going to move on. Ready? Here we go. I am Latino proud. I was born into this race. I'm Latino proud, and it shows on my face. When it comes to family, we defend our own kind, something in others you'll never find. We work out in the hot sun to earn our daily bread, but that's all right. We keep our family fed. We're known for our tortillas, our beans, and our rice, a few jalapenos just for a touch of spice. Sometimes we are bad and get sent to jail. It's also sad when we can't make bail. It's guys like that who give our race a bad name. I'm still Latino proud, and I say it with no shame. Chicano here, Hispanic there. What's the difference when the others don't care? We walk with our heads up each and every mile. I'm Latino proud, and for that I can smile. So now that I have a feel for how the poet writes, I'm going to read it a second time. This time I'm going to box the words that I don't understand. So when I box the words that I don't understand, this could be words that I don't know the meaning of or words that I had trouble sounding out. I'm going to read this again, so just follow along with me. And can you guess which words I'm going to box? Here we go. I was born into this race. I'm Latino proud, and it shows on my face. When it comes to family, we defend our own kind, something in others you'll never find. We work out in the hot sun to earn our daily bread. I know what bread is, but it's used differently here. So I'm just going to go ahead and box that, and I'm going to look that up a little bit later. But that's all right. We keep our family fed. We're known for our tortillas, our beans, and our rice, a few jalapenos for a touch of spice. Sometimes we are bad and get sent to jail. It's also sad when we can't make bail. It's guys like that who give our race a bad name. I'm still Latino proud, and I say it with no shame. Chicano. Well, here's a word that I had trouble saying out loud. I'm not really sure how to say it, and I don't know the meaning, so I'm going to go ahead and box that as well, and hopefully that'll help me out later. So Chicano here, Hispanic there. What's the difference when the others don't care? We walk with our heads up each and every mile. I'm Latino proud, and for that I can smile. Okay, so with those two words that I boxed, I'm going to go ahead and look those up. With Chicano, I just went online and I found a pretty good definition here, and it says that Chicano is an American, especially a man or boy whose parents or grandparents came from Mexico. And that makes sense that since this poem is about Latinos, that maybe Chicano is just another word for a Latino person, but specifically someone who comes from Mexico. Daily bread, though, is a little bit tricky. So I'm going to have to use context clues to try and figure this out. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just pull this from the passage. And it says, the poet, he says, we work out in the hot sun to earn our daily bread, but that's all right. We keep our family fed. And I underlined the words work and earn because I know that has to do with having a job, and people get jobs so they can feed their family. So I'm thinking that daily bread is just another way of saying money. So here's what I'm going to write down here. I think that daily bread means money. The words that help me determine the meaning are work and earn. So Latinos have jobs outside to make money and feed their families. And that makes sense because, well, you earn money from work so you can feed your family. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. Now, we're going to read this a third time. The purpose of reading the poem a third time now is trying to understand what this text is about. Because remember, we're trying to summarize the meaning. And when we read a poem a third time, good writers and good readers really need to annotate the text with notes next to each stanza on the text to help them figure out the meaning. So before I even start reading, I noticed the first two times that I read that the author or the poet has been saying the phrase, I'm Latino proud. And he said that multiple times. So I went ahead and just underlined that phrase because I know it's going to be important later. But now I'm going to go ahead and read, continue reading. So again, just follow along with me as I read aloud. I was born into this race. I'm Latino proud, and it shows on my face. When it comes to family, we defend our own kind, something in others you'll never find. So, we defend our own kind. So to me, I think in that stanza that the poet is saying that Latinos are loyal because they like to defend their own kind or they get each other's back whenever they're in trouble. I'm going to go ahead and continue. We work out in the hot sun to earn our daily bread, but that's all right. We keep our family fed. Well, I know that in this stanza that Latinos are hard workers because of them working outside. And I actually know that from personal experience because I have lots of friends who are Latino and work hard. So I'm making a personal connection here. We're known for our tortillas, our beans, and our rice, a few jalapenos for a touch of spice. Well, I think the poet there is trying to say that Latinos have good food, and I think we all can agree with that. Sometimes we are bad and get sent to jail. It's also sad when we can't make bail. It's guys like that who give our race a bad name. I'm still Latino proud, and I say that with no shame. Well, I think what the author is trying to say here is that there are both good and bad Latinos. But even though there are bad Latinos that get sent to jail, that doesn't mean that every Latino is bad. So the poet there is not going to let those bad Latinos give the rest of the Latinos a bad name. Chicano here, Hispanic there. What's the difference when others don't care? Well, to me, I think the poet's trying to say that some people don't like Latinos, but he's still proud. So even though there are people out there that don't like them for whatever reason, he's not going to let that bother him. So he's still proud to be a Latino. We walk with our heads up each and every mile. I'm Latino proud, and for that, I can smile. Okay, now that I've read this poem 3 times and I've annotated it, I think I have a pretty good idea of what this is about. So using my annotations, I'm going to go ahead and try and write a short summary. And I already did that, so here is what I came up with. This poem is about being a proud Latino. I know this because this poet talks about loyalty when he says we defend our own kind. He also says that even though others don't care about Latinos, he still remains proud. Being loyal and ignoring the bad things others say about them are qualities that make Latinos proud to be a Latino. Okay, now it's your turn to try. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to choose a poem. You're either going to choose a poem on your own or work on the poem that the teacher is providing you for independent work. When you get that poem, you're going to read it 3 times. First, you're going to read the poem 1 time for flow. And remember, that means just trying to get a feel for how the poet writes and not really worrying about trying to read every single word correctly. Then you're going to read the poem a 2nd time, and you're going to box the words that you don't understand. Try to aim for about 2 or 3 words that you're not sure of. And after you're done reading a 2nd time, go ahead and look them up either in a dictionary or online. Or if you can, try and use context clues, because remember, that's a really good strategy for trying to figure out words, which is what you're going to have to use on the EOGs and the testing. So go ahead and try getting some practice using context clues. Go back and look at how I use context clues for daily bread to figure out that meaning if you need more help. Last, you're going to read the poem a 3rd time, and this time you're going to try to figure out what the poem is about. And you're going to try and write a summary. So go back and look at my summary and use that as a standard for how you should write yours. When you're finished doing that, you're going to have an exit ticket. Your exit ticket, which you are going to do in your writing journal, is: why is reading a poem multiple times important? So we read this poem 3 times already, but why do we do that? Why do good readers need to read a text more than once? Okay, I kind of mentioned it earlier in this lesson. So if you need to, go ahead and go back or just use your own schema about why you think readers would need to read a text more than once. I gave you a sentence frame here for your writing to get you started. And it says reading a poem more than once is important because. So remember to use complete sentences and to take your time with this and to give as much detail as you can, okay? So also remember your objectives on the left. This is what we're trying to accomplish today. So go ahead and read that on your own. And that's all for now. Hopefully you have a better idea of how to read poetry. If you need more help, you can always ask a neighbor, ask your teacher, or myself when you see me. So that's all I have for today. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.